wealth, fame, power. These three attributes and lights are some of the most sought after in all of the world of living, and today we're going to be talking about none of that because we're talking about Destiny 2 related weapons. Although, to be fair, some of these Solstice weapons actually have decent perk pulls this time around, and we're going to be talking about all of them. Even if there's only 4 of them, we do have a new bow this time around, and before I begin, I just want to let y'all know that we'll be going to GCX next week. If anybody out there watching the video is going, hope to see you there. Gonna be a lit weekend next weekend. Now that being said, we shall now begin and look at some of these Solstice weapons 2024 edition, shall we? So we're gonna begin with something new, even though this is a relatively old weapon at this point. It has another perk refresh for this here Solstice, and this time around it actually has some decent options. Now, do bear in mind this is an aggressive frame 120 RPM hand cannon, but hand cannons are in a really good spot now. Keep in mind that all of them are going to come with the Dream Work Orden trait. Once per reload, assist or assisted final blows partially refill the weapon from reserves and increase reload speed for a short duration. Bows able to get a faster draw time. You used to be able to do some pretty fun shenanigans with this weapon. You could overflow an entire reserves of like 4th Horseman into one mag and just shoot them all off in a row. Of course, that was well over 2 years ago at this point. Just figured I'd mention the good times. Now, let's look at this bad boy perk pool real quick, okay? Because there's some stuff here, like no cap, there's actually some pretty good stuff. In column 3, probably something like Rapid Hit or Demolitionist. Good old spicy demo. I know there's subsistence here, but I'm not the biggest fan of subsistence on a hand cannon, so I would highly recommend going Rapid Hit or Demolitionist. We need more so on Demolitionist though, because it doesn't love grenade energy, right? And then in column 4, keep in mind guys, we're talking PvE stuff here, you know what I'm saying? PvE all the way here. You have your option and choices between explosive payload and frenzy. If you want to add a little bit of spice and flair to the mix up there, go ahead and rock with headstone. Me personally though, demolitionist and explosive payload would be the ideal role to go for. Explosive payload gives you a damage buff that doesn't have any range fall off, but I totally understand why people would like frenzy on this weapon on a hand cannon. You don't gotta tell me why. I love me some motherfucking frenzy now. Don't get twisted. Under reload speed, under handling, 15% extra damage. Come on in. But that is your something new hand cannon. We shall now move over to the new bow that we got, the Fortunate Star. In a world where we now have the legendary Trend Eagle, other legendary bows are gonna have some tough competition. Now I'll be honest, this bow definitely looks more like a PvP bow just looking at its perk pool. Of course it does have something like the good old Archer's Tempo in column 3, then it has Archer's Gambit in column 4. I had to say it, bro. Although I don't really think I'm gonna be using any Archer's Gambit anytime soon, especially in the 4th column, as hip fire precision hits grant a massive draw speed bonus for a short duration. Granted, it's 60% decreased draw time, but I like to generally have some sort of a damage perk in the 4th column if I can. And the only 2 that this bow possesses is Golden Tricorn and Kill Clip. Well, I guess it does have Precision Instrument as well, but like, come on now. That being said, it also does have the Void roll of Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds. I never thought this roll was crazy, insanely awesome to begin with, but it is a Void staple, and it is here as well. Kind of sucks that this is the new weapon we got this year because it's not really jumping at me like that. If I had to go for a roll for this bow, maybe the Void roll of Repulsor and Destabilizing Rounds, or Archer's Tempo and Tricorn, but like, honestly, bro, this looks like a PvP weapon. All right, we're gonna move from arrows to pellets now because we're gonna be talking about that Compass Rose, shall we? Okay. Now, this is no new shotgun. However, there could be a little bit of fun stuff to go about here with. Now, one thing I do want to mention that it is a precision frame, and as far as I am aware, the shotgun does look to be a PvP monster. Even though we're not talking about PvP roles, I just wanted to at least briefly mention that for anybody out there that does like to play themselves some PvP. Now, PvE wise, could be a little bit of some juice here. Something like Slick Draw and Vorpal could be really good for swaps. A Slick Draw will literally max out your handling entirely. You just pair it with the damage perk like Vorpal, not too shabby. It's also the main role you would want on something like the Retro Futurist. I know people like Incandescent. Me personally, bro, I don't really like Incandescent on a shotgun. And then a fun role worth mentioning would be something like maybe Trench and, believe it or not, Dual Loader. And Enhanced Dual Loader will allow you to reload 3 pellets at once, meaning you could fully reload your shotgun with 2 strokes of the reload animation. Honestly, with something like Trench Barrel, not the craziest worst idea out there. Then also does have a nice little combo of Grave Robber with your good old 1-2 punch. If you need a 1-2 punch shotgun in the energy slot, that is not the Ikelos, because you don't have the Ikelos shotguns pattern. A little bit of food for thought for you, but we did went ahead and save the best weapon for last, which is something I never thought I would say about this rocket launcher. But the crowning duog is actually much better this time around. Last year, it was horrendous. This year, it's way better, and it's actually usable. Now, the only caveat is the fact that this weapon is a precision frame rocket launcher, which is the lowest base damage of all of the rocket archetypes, out of all of the frames. Now, a little bit of time ago, precision frames did get, I think it was like 5% damage increase, so it's not 20% worse anymore than any other frame. It's only 15% worse than an adaptive and aggressive frames. Now, that being said, this is still the best strand rocket launcher, as if we look at its perk pool, you'll see that it has the apex role of reconstruction and bait and switch. And it also does have bipod if you want to have a GM rocket, although at that point you're better off just rolling with something like a semiotician. But having the combo of at least reconstruction and bait and switch will at least allow this weapon to be usable. If you have nothing else, maybe you have an activity you're in that has a strand surge modifier, this might not be a terrible choice, especially now that they completely gutted and nuked Envious Assassin into oblivion. Literally gets rid of all of your Envious stacks if you switch anything in your loadout. Armor mods, weapons, weapon mods. Honestly, that is just goofy and really not the best way to go about fixing the Envious swap to Cascade problem that they were having to deal with for like the past couple months. No, I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I was like, bro, come on. Really? That was how they had to nerf Envious Assassin? They just destroyed the entire perk? Whatever. Either way, if you're looking to farm this rocket, I would just 1,000,000% go the Apex Predator roll, reconstruction, bait and switch. You cannot go wrong with that. And who knows, man, maybe sometime in the future, precision frames get another buff, bring them closer in line with the other frames on the rocket launchers. Who knows? But definitely a good idea to keep one of these on standby if you get the reconstruction bait and switch roll. Let me know what you're farming for most this Solstice event. I feel like the EAZ has definitely overstayed its welcome at this point, but some of the weapons seem to be pretty decent this time around. Also, that Solstice memento, honestly not too shabby. If you have some time and you want to laugh, I do recommend watching some of the challenge runs you're seeing on screen right now. Thank you so much for watching the video.